Amazing. Hi, everyone. My name is JB, Jean-Baptiste is the long version. I am the chair of the NRHSN. And so this is our What is the NRHSN session? We are opening our elections in a couple of days. This is a very exciting time where we get to recruit half a new team with lots of new ideas and lots of exciting things happening. Let's get to the next slide. All right, so National Rural Student Network would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today and pay our respects to the elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. And I encourage you all to put the land on which we're meeting in the chat. Beautiful. Look at us being everywhere. That's pretty cool. All right, so feel free to keep doing that, and we'll move on to the next slide. So this is a quick overview of our exec. If you haven't met us yet or come to our council, so we've got me there. That's me, first photo. Hi. And then Maddie, our vice chair external, who's somewhere on the video as well. And then Nicola, who's eating a delicious steak. And then Benin, who's right there, vice chair operations on the video chat as well. And then we've got our offices as well. So all four of us are moving on after next year, because we completed our 2-year contract. And then some of those amazing guys are staying on, which is great. So in the audience, we've got Hayley, our Allied Health Officer, and Community Advocacy, Natasha, and then Anna from Publications. So fabulous. So almost the whole team made it, which is great. So this is the organizational structure to give you an idea. You'll also see that on the handbook that will be published on our website, and the handbook will have all the information that we're providing here as well. So this is very exciting. So yeah, let's go. And this is obviously the very handsome team for 2022 at our Melbourne Council most recently in Hosier Lane. That was a lot of fun. And so part of the NRHSN is to get to meet up a couple of times a year somewhere fun. So yeah. What do we do? Very good question. So the NRHSN is a multidisciplinary health club network that comprises 28 rural health clubs across all states and territories. And it's also an initiative of the Australian government. So we're lucky enough to receive funding from the government, which enables us to run things like our council and to also help all the clubs run their own high school visits and give them budget for the year, which hopefully you're familiar with because you're all part of your rural health clubs. Let's go. So we've got a lot of different aims, and you're more than welcome to read our business plan. That's also on the website. But the idea is that we're providing a voice for students who are interested in rural and remote health and providing just access to that, hopefully with the government and with all the stakeholders, and also to promote careers and encourage students that are interested to pursue them in rural and remote areas. And we do that through many different ways. And lots of it is through our clubs, who are, of course, the workhorses of what we do. And some of what we do through our advocacy also helps with that. So next. So this is distribution of our club around Australia. So we've got clubs in all territories and states, which is great. So we'll just keep going. Then we'll just give you a quick overview of what's going on, basically our business plan for 2022. So we had 5 priority areas, which was our relationships with our rural health clubs. Very important to us. There's a lot of them and they're spread out and there's very few of us. So that's part of the challenge and part of the fun of being at the NRHSN. Engaging all health students, so people from all backgrounds are more than welcome. And our committee represents that diversity, which is very exciting. The external visibility of the NRHSN, also a big focus, and I think we've been doing really well, as you'll see later. And rural advocacy as well, kind of goes hand in hand with the external visibility, but very important. And then executive governance. So we hopefully will leave the NRHSN in a much better place than it's been for a while, thanks to a lot of improvement in processes, which might not be noticeable from the outside, but are definitely noticeable from within. So we're running 5 projects at the moment, which is really cool. So those are from our project offices, and then each of the vice chairs have run their own project. And I've run them throughout, which is really exciting at the executive level. At an officer level, we've got a video series happening on Rural HighSchool Visits. We've got the Allied Health Employment Guide, which Hayley has been working on for the last 2 years, and we're looking forward to. Then we've got a project on rural nursing, cultural competency guide for working with Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander people. And then Deb's been working on rural medicine as a career for women. So very exciting things. And if you join us as an officer next year, you'll be expected to come up with a project or continue one of the projects if they haven't been completed. So collab with people. There's a lot of opportunities to kind of make your mark and do something out of it. Next. So we do lots of advocacy. We basically sit on a lot of meetings. That's the nature of it. And the more senior you are as part of the team, the more meetings you'll be attending. I think you all know that's part of any kind of organization. But we're lucky enough to represent all students at like all kind of multidisciplinary meetings around. So that is very exciting. I myself have been traveling quite a bit over the last couple of months, which has been great post-COVID, but also reminded me how tiring it is to travel. But we're lucky enough to have all those opportunities. So it's, and we try to spread them around the team as much as possible. So Anna, for example, will be going to Northern Territory soon. So there's lots of things happening. And if you join the NRHSN, that's the things you get to do. Next. So we also, as I was saying, at the executive level, we've been submitting abstract and attending conferences to present that. So a few of us are attending the National Rural Health Alliance, the 16th National Rural Health Conference, which is next week. And 2 of us, Maddie and myself, are presenting. And I'll be chairing a session as well. So again, those opportunities have come about thanks to the work the NRHSN has done over the last couple of years, whether in terms of research or in terms of just being part of the organization. And then I'll also be presenting at RMA 22, and we'll be co-hosting the student session with AMSA. And I'll also submit an abstract for the SARA conference. So again, trying to be as broad as we can in our representation and not stick exclusively to medicine. So whether you're medicine or not medicine, there's a lot of things happening and giving you an opportunity to speak at those events and represent us. And this is open to anyone within the teams, not just the chair. All you have to do is get those abstracts at those conferences and present, and then we'll support you to do it. Next. Does anyone have any question? I know that was maybe a little bit speedy. Luckily, there's a recording. But the best part of this is going to be the Q&A type session. So we'll be asking questions of ourselves, which is always the fun part, and you get to ask us questions as well. I'm happy to answer anything as well. So maybe we'll kind of move on to our Q&A. If there's no question, and feel free to put them in chat, but to interrupt.
We'll just quickly go through the vice chairs. But yeah, if anyone has any questions at the moment, feel free to put them in chat or to, you know, speak using your mic. But yeah, we'll quickly go into the vice chair portfolios. So Maddie, if you can kickstart us off.
Sure, just checking my microphone's okay. Great, sorry, I'm just on my phone. Benin, I just put a few slides in. Would you mind going ahead? So my name's Maddie. I'm the Vice Chair External for 2022. So in my role as Vice Chair, Vice Chair External, sorry, is a position on the core executive committee. So as JB said, the higher up you are, the more meetings you attend. So obviously a big part of the Vice Chair External role is attending more frequent meetings with the core executive team, providing a lot of support to the chair and the other core executive members. It's also really important to be involved with the general workings of the NRHSN committee, so attending monthly meetings and helping with the organisation of council, attending council and communicating with external stakeholders as all of our members do. As a core executive member, I assist and oversee 3 of the project officer roles, so the medical officer, the allied health officer, and the nursing and midwifery officer, who are all wonderful assets to our team. They have been working on projects of their own, which JB alluded to earlier. So I meet with them every couple of months, just check in to see how they're going with their projects and also with their their external stakeholders. And then as the Vice Chair External, a large part of my role is communicating with external stakeholders. So this can involve promoting events that we have coming up, such as various webinar series, sending out information about CUI, touching base with stakeholders to attend and sponsor events like the council meetings, and any other correspondence that comes from external stakeholders usually gets filtered through me and my team. And then, of course, working on my own portfolio. So I think something really cool about the NRHSN is there's all of these little, I guess, ad hoc and spontaneous opportunities that come up for research or surveys or writing position papers. And so 2 things that I've been working on lately include the Going Rural as a Junior Doctor webinar series, which I think we might promote a little bit later. But the first episode in the series is next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. So pencil that in your diary. And also I wrote a little position paper about the help debt reduction scheme, which was introduced last year, to be submitted to some of our stakeholders. So just the next slide. Thanks, Benine. This is just a little diagram I created, just showing the external team, so the medical officer, allied health officer, and nursing and midwifery officer. So below their titles is their projects that each of them are working on, and below that are some of the key stakeholders, that they engage with. So that's pretty much the external team in a nutshell. I'm happy to take any questions now or at the end if anyone has them. Otherwise, I might hand over to Nicola.
Thanks, Maddie. Unfortunately, I haven't prepared as fun slides as Maddie has here. So I'm just going to briefly speak on the Vice Chair internal role. Once again, like Maddie, we're a part of the core executive team. We support I support the community and advocacy officer and the Indigenous officer as part of this portfolio. The Vice Chair Internal's primary role is to support our rural health clubs in delivering on their aims. So it's quite a large role. As we have 29 rural health clubs, we break it up amongst our 3 internal team members. So that's myself, the community advocacy officer, and then the Indigenous health officer. Each taking on approximately 7 to 10 clubs to look after and check in with regularly. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. As part of that, we support our rural health clubs in achieving their annual funding through their budget, as well as the rural attending and delivering their Rural HighSchool Visit, and delivering the Indigenous community engagement activities. One of the key components of this is that we also support the Vice Chair Internal in delivering council. Our 3 councils throughout the year. But Benine's going to speak a little bit more on council later. With regards to external stakeholders, there's not many because we've got quite a few internal stakeholders, but one of the key things I've been involved in this year has been attending the Department of Health meetings about COVID-19 and representing our members' voices in that forum. So that's been a really interesting meeting that I've attended weekly and then fortnightly from June. So it was really delightful when it moved to fortnightly. It's quite an interesting forum. We get to engage with a wide variety of different health professionals in a advocacy and representation space. So I really, it's quite something that I didn't expect that we'd be doing, but I've really enjoyed that. And then finally, in my own personal portfolio, I've assisted with writing a new proposal for something that the NRHSN is doing in hoping to deliver from 2023 onwards, which we just haven't we're not announcing yet. We've been working on a redevelopment of the NRHSN website, and I've been overseeing that redevelopment. And I've assisted on our John Flynn placement program response and Maddie's help debt scheme response. So it's been quite a busy year in the internal portfolio, but it's been really enjoyable. Deneen, I might hand over to you.
Thanks, Nicola. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's been having a lovely week. So I'm Beneen, Vice Chair Operations. VCO is actually a new role that was changed this year. So it used to be the secretary role, but I'll give you guys all a quick overview of what the role entails. But also keep in mind that, you know, it's flexible, just like, and when it comes to core executive roles, there's, you know, your portfolio, and then there's the portfolio of the people that work underneath you that you assist with, but then you're also working with the rest of the vice chairs as well, and the chair. So there's that flexibility that comes in there as well. But as VCO, so I am in charge of all the secretary roles. So that includes putting together our agendas for each meeting. So we have a monthly whole executive meeting and a monthly core executive meeting. So putting the agendas together for that, taking the minutes for that, and then distributing them to all of the executive members, as well as just following up with any important action items that come out of meetings. I've also introduced a personal development plan and a portfolio management plan. So personal development plan is basically meetings that we have one-on-one within our executives that help us make sure that all of the executive members are making the most out of their roles, both personally and professionally. And then the portfolio management plan is putting together goals at the start of the year and checking in with that throughout the year in terms of your own portfolio and what goals you want to achieve through your roles. I'm also in charge of putting together our quarterly review meetings. So basically just putting together a formal process for the NRHSN to sit or join together via Zoom and reflect on what work we've achieved and what more we need to do. And then having just a formalized feedback process as well for members within the team to give feedback to each other. And then I'm also in charge of maintaining the internal processes and the executive governance of the NRHSN. So making sure the SharePoint is all put together nicely, that we have a streamlined process so that because it's a two-year role and there's a lot of change because of that, kind of making sure we have good internal processes so that we're not reinventing the wheel each year. And that also includes being in charge of handover, and so the handover documents, and then also handover weekend. VCO also oversees the large projects that the NRHSN holds, the main one being council. So we hold 3 councils every year, 2 of them being in person, 1 of them being online. So our last one was actually in Melbourne, and it was super fun. We brought together about 90 delegates, I think. And basically with council, just in case anyone here isn't very aware, we kind of bring together usually rural health club presidents and chairs, but also other committee members from rural health clubs, and provide them with upskilling workshops, opportunities to network. We bring together guest speakers, take them around whichever country, town or city that we're in, kind of let them explore that area as well. And then I also oversee handover weekend, which will be happening later this week. So if you guys join the team, and you'll be there with us at handover weekend, which should be super fun as well. Then any other ad hoc projects that come up, like workshops or anything like that, I'm usually also get involved with those. Also work closely with the chair with putting together the business plan each year, and then just as I said before, kind of working with the rest of the core executive if there's any help or assistance needed with projects. The vice chair operations oversees 2 other officers, and that's the publications officer, so Anna is in charge of QE. So our next edition of QE will be coming out very soon, so keep an eye out on that. We have currently published it on our website, but it will be coming out to all of our members via email over the next couple of days. And then social media. So I don't know if you guys have realized, but we have usually heaps of amazing posts on our social media. So that's all thanks to Ellen. So I work with her to make sure that we're getting good posts going, and that our social media is always exciting. And then just like the rest of the other members on the NRHSN, I have a couple of stakeholders that I'm associated with. So that involves emailing them, contacting them to assist us with anything like to share on QE, or sometimes emailing them stuff to include in their publications. And yeah, that's kind of the main thing. I think that, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've covered everything that VCO does. I think that was the end of the presentation. Oh, JB, if you want to just quickly go through the positions and then we can start the panel.
Yes, so excitingly, we've run our internal elections over this month. There might be a sneak peek of the results somewhere, but the official announcement is done at Council 3, so we'll wait for that. But the positions below will be available. We are hoping to release it on Friday, 29th of July, pending technological issues with yours truly, the chair. But we are you'll have 2 weeks to apply. The application process has been simplified, but it doesn't have to get your CV ready, basically. We'll be looking at a vice chair external, a vice chair internal, community advocacy officer, indigenous health officer, publications officer, and a social media officer. So a broad diversity of role. All those roles are open to everyone, except indigenous health officer, where of course we would rather have somebody from an indigenous background, so Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander. Anything else is open to medical students, allied health, nursing, midwifery. So we'd be very excited to have a diverse range of people applying. Once the application have been received, you'll be just basic shortlisting to make sure that everyone has got the relevant credentials. So member of the rural health clubs and things like that. And then it'll be put up for a vote. So it's a very transparent process. The clubs, as member of councils, and us partly vote, and then everyone else, every member of the NRHSN, so there's about 12,000 at the moment, can vote on our elections. So please keep an eye out for that. It'll be towards the end of August, and then results will be announced at Council 3. So very exciting. If you have any questions on specific roles, you'll feel free to contact me, contact anyone in the team, contact the role holder at any point. You can find us on Facebook, you can have our emails, it's on the website, all of that. So not an issue at all. Now we'll go through the Q&A. And also don't think you need, obviously, to have been a president to join. It would help because, of course, you'd be more familiar with the organization. But we're very excited to hear from you no matter what. So probably about half of us have been presidents and half of us haven't. And we've all been equally amazing. So very exciting. And yes, we're looking for new ideas. So fresh blood, exciting things happening. Is that right, Panini?
Yeah, just don't be afraid to apply. Don't think you're unqualified. A lot of people think that way, but it's all about the passion and the skills that you bring, and it's all about learning on the job. So
Exactly.
it's okay if you're not a president. Actually, both JB and I have never been presidents of our rural health club. So.
And you've got 2 years to, get used to it. And so even if you're not quite there in the first year, you still get the second year to deliver. So it's very cool. And then after the first year, you get a chance to move to a different role. That's what I called by internal election, which is the reshuffle that happened just before. As well as, yep, no, that's fine. Let's keep going.
Okay, lovely. Now we'll hand it over to Anna, who will do our panel for us.
Hello, everyone. So as you heard a bit earlier on, I'm the Publications and Sponsorship Officer for this year, and just giving Kui a little bump again, our best one for the year so far, and thanks to my Kui working group team as well. It's been really great working with you. Some of you are here today. Yeah, so we'll get started with the panel. So we might just kick it off with JB. So you've been doing a lot of advocacy this year in your role and traveling to different seminars and conferences. And so what's been your favorite part of this year so far?
Oof, that's a good question. So does it have to be specifically about advocacy? Favorite part?
Whatever you'd like. That would be nice, but
because obviously my favorite part is my team. Look at you guys. It's amazing. I know. Had to. If it comes down to advocacy, I do love flying, so that's been a lot of fun. No, I got to go to the National Rural Health Summit, which was at the end of June in Cairns. We were the only student organization represented there. It was an invite-only event, and it was very selective. We got to discuss policy with people very high up in the department, the National Rural Health Commissioner, basically representative CEOs from all the important organizations in rural health around the country. And that was the first one in 9 years. It was much above my pay grade, but I did my best. And it was just an amazing learning opportunity to see all those people that are at that level of thinking and that level of policy accountability and oversight of the entire rural health world kind of all sit down and just, do the same things we did. They were working on butcher's paper, and they were just, like presenting each other what the group did. So literally you come to a council, it was the same vibe, except you had all those people that have like 40 years of experience. And it was really exciting and cool to see that we do the same thing at our level, and kind of like validates what we do. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, it was incredible opportunity. So join the NRHSN.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see all the learning on the job and things, like the great opportunities we get to be a part of as part of the NRHSN. So definitely join up. So next one, Benin. How have you felt the changes been going from publications officer to VCO this year? What's been your highlight? What have been the challenges?
Okay. But I can't trash on publications too much considering you're currently the publications officer. No, but basically, so I guess the main changes would be, so publications is a much smaller role in the sense that there's just one project that you're mainly working on, or that is your main priority, which is putting together QE. Whereas with VCO, it's a much larger senior role. So there's a lot of projects that you're working on at the same time, and also being in charge of overseeing a lot more work. So overseeing the publications officer, overseeing the social media officer, and working very closely with Maddie and Nicola and also JB. So I think the workload is definitely different. I think ability to, I guess, implement more new changes is also another different aspect. But yeah, those would be my main differences. It's a lot more work, basically.
It's good.
And it's great to see that we have, different levels of expectations for different roles, and that's why everyone can get involved. So, if you're not sure how much you want to commit or those kind of things, then you'd be looking at the more junior roles, and then you can step up the year after or not. And then if you are, like, okay, this is it, this is my last year, I've got literally nothing to do, and you want to commit to a senior role, then we've got senior roles at that high. So really cool.
Yeah, and it's very nice actually stepping up because, you learn a lot of skills in the first year, and then you're able to actually assist somebody else the next year because, you've developed all these skills. So I've been able to help you a lot more with QE because I did QE last year.
That helps me really great too. Thanks for setting it all up. Okay, so Hayley, I'll go to you next. So just thinking, what being the allied health officer for 2 years in a row, what's one piece of advice that you'd give to yourself if you could maybe do it again, like say next year, or rewind again at the start of this year?
So definitely when I started, I was one of the people that hadn't been a president of my rural health club, so it was all a little bit new and daunting. But yeah, definitely wish that I had have just jumped in a little bit harder, a little bit faster into my role. It was just a bit more of a crazy start for me with my role. But yeah, there's so many opportunities, council, discussing things with external stakeholders such as Sarah, and attending their conferences and being a student ambassador with them. Yeah, just really reaching out to all the opportunities that are there, and yeah, taking on the challenge.
Yeah, definitely. You have been very busy this year, and good on you. So Tash, what about you? What was one piece of advice that you'd give yourself if you could start off as community and advocacy officer again?
Oh, I should have prepared better for these questions. Maybe just like don't be afraid to like reach out and like, do the things that you're interested in, or like talk to the people you want to talk to. Yeah, so I think you can be a little bit timid to begin with, but it's like there's so much opportunity here to, meet so many new people and do so many interesting things. And so, yeah, I can't believe it's August on Monday. And so it's like, I should have been doing this from the beginning. Instead I'm sitting around for a couple of months. So yeah, probably doing that a lot sooner and not being afraid to get out there.
Yeah, thanks. And you've been going very well with all the YouTube series as well, which has been really cool. So we'll throw it over to Maddie and Nicola next. So for you guys, what makes the NRHSN better than all the other student bodies? Sorry, give me the hard one.
That was a cheeky question I chucked in.
I suppose I'll go first. So what makes the NRHSN better? Well, I think something that really sets the NRHSN apart from a lot of the other student organisations that I work with is our multidisciplinary approach. So NRHSN advocates for all healthcare students and workers across all disciplines. And I think that just from my interactions with other clubs and organisations, I think we come in often with a more holistic and balanced approach. And I think people have a lot of respect for us because I think we innately appreciate that, like we can see things from the bigger picture. I think that's my experience. I also think the people in our NRHSN are in it for the right reasons, like genuinely want to advocate and make a difference and have a positive change. I'm not saying that other, health clubs, the students on their committees are like that, but from my interactions with the NRHSN as a didn't either. Thank you, JB. When I was a president and interacting with the NRHSN, and then since my time on NRHSN, I've had really positive experience, and I think people are here for the right reasons. Nicola, save me.
Thanks, Maddie. I think that being a government-funded organisation has allowed us to work with the Department of Health a little bit more, and so they extend to us a few kind of extra privileges, like being invited along to the National Rural Health Commissioners Summit, being invited to the Department of Health COVID-19 task force. And so that there's a little bit of a respect there that we are supporting what they're hoping to achieve, their initiatives. And so I think that's really nice. But I also really have enjoyed working across a wide variety of different people, different locations, different health disciplines, different outlooks. I think it's all been fantastic, and I think that's what makes us, like Maddie said, that multidisciplinary approach, I think, is just so relevant to our current health climate, and I think it's so reflective of where the future of rural health's going, and that's the NRHSN. Thanks, Anna.
I was going to jump in and say exactly that, but you did it. So good job. What makes it special is the multidisciplinary aspect. That is what we did at the Cairns Summit that I attended. We wrote in a position statement basically on multidisciplinary rural health teams. Is not just the future, but what's currently happening anyway, even if it's not formalized. And it's where we're headed. So no matter where you're from, and a lot of us are from medicine, but we are here to support the entire rural health workforce, and that's super important. And that's it's something new for us to learn. Like, I felt a bit weird at the beginning advocating for people that are not doing my discipline, but in the end we're all doing it for the right reasons. So that's what we do.
Absolutely. So if anyone in the audience has any questions, please feel free to put those into the chat as well. Maybe give me a bit of a break from asking them all, but we'll hand it back to you, JB. So as the current chair, is joining the NRHSN worth all of the work?
That is a very loaded question because I have to be on best behavior tonight. Yes, it's absolutely worth the work. There's not many times in your career where you get a chance to get the level of access that we get, and the level of influence that we get, and level of representation. Like, when else in your entire life you're going to get to represent 12,000 people that have the same interests as your colleagues around the country that you've never met, but you're still voicing them, and that's really cool. I think that's super important. You get rewarded So obviously you make friends on the committee, outside the committee. You might get to traveling school if that's what you want to do. It does take a lot of time, so you don't have to. And you get to go to council, and council is honestly like the most wholesome thing ever. And it also gives you a really good perspective on health. Like I had no idea, like the whole health industry and how health departments work and how they think and how policies are implemented. And like we're really siloed, even no matter what you do, you're going to go to your placement and you're going to focus on the one specialty or the one degree, and you're not going to really think about the bigger picture. But really those people at those levels only think about the bigger picture. So being involved really gives you great perspective, and has changed my outlook on things and probably will change the way I see my career.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really rewarding. Would anyone else? Oh, Nicola, would you like to add to that as well?
Yeah, I don't think I represented the internal role in a very glamorous light when I was doing my little overview. I think it has absolutely been worth the workload. There's been quite a number of relationships that I've developed throughout the year with just so many different people, and seeing everyone come together at council was just so fantastic. And so I think kind of to tie two into one, what would I tell myself if I could rewind to the start of the year? The workload is worth it. It's been really enjoyable to have so much communication between clubs this year. I really feel like everyone's outcomes have been really positive, and so that workload has absolutely been worth it, and really enjoyable. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that, Nicola. Vanine, would you like to chuck something in there as well?
Oh, yeah, basically just as JB and Nicola are saying, like it is a lot of work, but the nice thing as well is that you can make it work around your timetable. You can make it work around your university. You can always chat with the rest of the team if you ever need help, because everyone's here to help each other. You're working as a team to produce projects. So there is that flexibility, and when you do choose a role, you can from the beginning, choose a role that you think will suit you best. So if you want a smaller commitment, choose a smaller role. If you want a bigger commitment, choose a bigger role. So that always helps, and it should be factored in from the beginning. But it's extremely rewarding. Like if you are passionate about rural healthcare, if you're passionate about advocacy, if you're passionate about policy, if you're passionate about just bringing people together, joining the NRHSN is probably one of the best things that you can do as a student. And I think people don't really know how much it adds until they join, in terms of networking, meeting new people, attending, or being able to attend events. And especially if you join and then you step up to a larger senior role, because that, usually opens up even more opportunities for you. And then, it's kind of like opens all these doors that you can then later use as a, healthcare professional as well. So yeah, definitely worth the extra work. Yeah. I think Tash is putting something. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, so exactly. So there's lots of different rewarding parts to the role. And yeah, like Tash was saying, you might even run into each other in Temora like we did. But yeah, I guess, and the next question would be, what is one skill that you've gained from being in your position? So who would like to go first with this one? Tash?
I learned how to use YouTube. I can't say I used it well, but I used it. Probably learning how to network and really prioritize your time and block your time out, so that you can sit down and prioritize different things and still stay up to date with your uni work and not fall behind there, because at the end of the day we're students first. So that was a really good skill to, hopefully we're students, a really good skill to learn, I think, throughout, to really prioritize everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely been can agree with that one. The technology has definitely been an adaptation this year with Canva, but anyway, I guess Maddie, throw it over to you. What is one skill that you've gained from being in both of your positions over the last 2 years?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is time management and the ability to prioritize tasks. I guess is that a soft skill? I don't know. I think, yeah, that's something that I've definitely found has come from this role, and just having done like intern interviews, they always seem to ask about time management. So it was very useful to be able to draw on my experience with NRHSN. Another thing, obviously, in my role with VC External, I do talk to a lot of stakeholders, and I mean, I enjoy sending emails and communicating, but that's a skill that I think you can always look to develop. So communicating with stakeholders, communicating with the team has been, yeah, another thing that I've taken away from it. Thank you, Anna, for your question.
No worries, Manny. So I guess getting into the admin side of things. So tell us a little bit more about meetings. So what happens at them and how often do you happen? So I know there's a couple, there's some core exec and then there's the whole exec. So who would like to speak about this one? Maybe Benin, you're nodding along.
Sure, I can speak on it and JB can butt in as well. But basically, so with our meetings, so we have a whole executive meeting every month. We've scheduled it so that it's this the first week of each month on a Monday at 8 p.m. So usually the meetings are quite late, later in the evening when everyone's free, especially if we have someone in our executive who's in WA. So just factoring in that time for them as well. And so during our meetings, we have an agenda. So we usually just start off by everyone introducing, you know, how they, like, not introducing themselves, but basically just saying how they're going, sharing a fun fact that they've done last week, something like that. And then we also do portfolio updates. And then so everyone will basically just talk about what they've been doing during the last month. And then we kind of go into specific agenda items. So for example, you know, what we're working on currently. So something, you know, in our next meeting would be talking about council. We might talk about handover weekend. We might talk about Maddie's webinar series. We might talk about Tasha's YouTube series, and kind of just sharing what we're working on and what we need help with, and creating action items for the next month for people to work on. And then we also have, so we work with the RDN, so the Rural Doctors Network, New South Wales Rural Doctors Network. So they can also share any work that they're doing that involves us during the meeting. And then at the end, sometimes we share, you know, something that's happening in the news that's relevant to rural healthcare. But yeah, those are kind of our whole executive meetings. Is there anything else you want to add in, JB?
I mean, you can have as many meetings as you want, really. That's the fun part. I think meetings are important. I know everyone hates them, and it's always hard to schedule and do those things. But when we are a national organization, and I look around the room, we have at least, you know, 4 states and territories represented, and there's more from the people that I know here tonight. So it's really difficult to do asynchronous work, and I think you need to find the right balance. So I think you don't want to be afraid of that, because it's the only way, you know, we get to meet each other, 3 times a year. So we gotta have meetings, and you gotta make efficient meetings. And I think we've been learning that in our councils, which is really cool. And other skills learned. Oh my God, who am I? And I think balancing that out efficiently, having the right amount at the right times, setting the right times aside for this, basically treating like work, worked out really well. But yeah, nothing to be afraid of. We don't have meetings every 3 days, so you can join us.
I'm glad we don't have them every 3 days as well. So Hayley, I'll throw it over to you now. What is something that you'd like to see the NRHSN achieve next year? Sorry, that's a bit of a loaded one as well.
Well, it would be great to fill in all the available positions with new people, especially allied health people. So if you're watching this or attending, either way, if you're allied health, just get an expression of interest in, and yeah, short and sweet.
Nice, thank you. We absolutely do need allied health people, so definitely would encourage everyone who's interested to come and join us. So I guess similar question to some of our other exec who are leaving. So Nicola, what about you? What would you like to see the NRHSN achieve in the next year or so?
You've caught me on the spot here. I think continued really strong communication with our rural health clubs, and remembering they're at the centre of all of the work that the NRHSN does, because without our 29 rural health clubs, there's no point to us. And so I think that's a really critical part. So yeah, continuing that really strong communication. I'd love to see every rural health club spend all their budget on doing fun activities that continue to engage their rural health students. Is that a completely party line answer? I think so. Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Nicola. Okay, so I'll throw it back to you, Maddie. What did you enjoy about our most recent council, and like what do you enjoy about councils generally?
To be honest, after COVID, I think it's just exciting to see people face to face. Like I hadn't met anyone I don't think I'd met anyone actually from the exec that I had been working with for 2 years, over 2021 and 2022. And so just to see people face to face is very exciting. JB was much taller IRL than he seems when he's sitting down.
Everyone says that.
We did something, I think it was new for this council, and had Josh Farr, was that his name? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Come and run the whole of one day, the Saturday, which was about leadership, teamwork, everything in that sector. And that was actually really cool. I thought it was very professional. Like JB said, it was really cool to see NRHSN offering an event that was of such a high standard, and I think lots of people got a lot out of that. And so it was really good to hear all the positive feedback and see that was a really beneficial session for our leaders. But yeah, just getting to see people and meet people face to face. Yeah, it's always fun. I think the incidental conversations that you have with people while you're, waiting for lunch or having a coffee, they always open up interesting opportunities and friendships and connections. So that's always cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It was my second in-person council, and I did enjoy it quite a bit. It's nice to travel as well, which is pretty fun. Benin, did you have something to add to that as well?
Just talking about council in general, what I enjoy about council.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically what Maddie said. But it's just I love being able to just see people in person, like Council 2 that just happened in Melbourne. It's extremely rewarding as like after organizing a really big event to actually kind of see it come together and see people. I guess we got a lot of really good feedback from Council 2, which also was very rewarding. But it's so nice to kind of bring people who are passionate about the same topic into one room and just give them the opportunity to talk amongst themselves, to learn together, to share their knowledge and their passion. And yeah, you kind of form like lifelong networks, and you kind of keep bumping into them at other conferences, at other councils, at other events, which is always amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So Tash and Haley, we haven't heard from you guys for a little while. So what do you think the NRHSN's biggest achievement this year was, or just in your own roles, what was one of the achievements that you guys have felt has happened this year?
Well, I would say for my role as Allied Health Officer, my contribution with our external stakeholder, Sarah, and the upcoming conference has been probably one of my greatest achievements just in the role this year. And yeah, being able to see how a conference is planned in the background, and then helping with the abstract reviewing stage and attending the meetings for those as well. Really interesting, and yeah, definitely something that everyone in any of the roles can be involved in as well.
I think in my role is the YouTube series, which I'll just keep hammering home about. But also just the work we've done to try and create a bit more of a sense of community amongst the rural health clubs. So through our stand-up meetings and at council and the Facebook group, and just kind of connect a lot of people together because we are so spread out across Australia. And so to have those contacts with your local clubs and to work on things together has been really great to see. So I know WA has been working on that and a few other states as well, which has been really great to see. So that was something that I've been excited to be a part of this year. Did that answer the question? I kind of forgot the question.
Yeah, no, that's good.
You can see there's a low level for joining. Enthusiasm.
So thank you everyone who's answered questions tonight and everyone who's attended our seminar. So I'll throw it back over to JB to do the wrapping up of tonight.
Hello, welcome back. Time flies by. I have 6 minutes to wrap it up. Easy. So thank you all. Is there any questions from the audience? I know a lot of you are going to be on recording, so please send through questions on our emails, Facebooks, whatever you have. But otherwise, if there's no questions, that's fine. It's all pretty straightforward. There'll be the instructions on the website. We'll share the link with you via email and via the Facebook group for those of you that are on the President's Facebook group, and you'll have 2 weeks to apply. The main difference on the application factor is that you'll have to record a video of yourself. That's the exciting part. Yes, we are modern at the NRHSN now. It's that, or you get to write 14 selection criteria. So from memory, I'm pretty sure Tash said this was a better option. So everyone's got to be happy with it. And then you'll have to submit your CV and just a brief bio as well. And then from there, we'll proceed to the voting and we'll find out in September, nice and early, which is good. Cool. So now we'll announce, I think we're just announcing our council, which has been announced so many times, but making sure people are registering for our council. If you're a chair or president, you've been emailed. It's in your spam because it just is. And if you don't find the link, go on to a Facebook group. It's on there. Make sure you register. We're getting 2 people from each team, so everyone's gonna be fighting to come because it was pretty fun in Melbourne. It should be fun in Adelaide too, and that's in September. Are we sharing the graphic? Yes, we are. Of course, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be Adelaide, and we're gonna go up in the hills as well, all together, which is pretty fun. What a graphic too! Look at that. Awesome. All right, we can unshare the graphic now and wrap it up. Oh yeah, is Executive Committee and NRHSN. If you have any questions, that goes out to the core exec. Otherwise, thank you to my team for attending and organizing and doing all the work as always. You've been incredible. Looking forward to heaps of applications from everyone. Any questions you have, contact us. Yeah, otherwise, wishing you a fabulous rest of your week.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.